Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Uh. Yo. Check me out now. Uh. Yo. It's the original 202 Dodge City, son. We here with the Veterans Report with your host, Dodge Citizen. Today I have two dynamic combat veterans in the building with me today. My man Byron Kerrison, my man Milton Agers, both of whom served downrange on the combat objective in Iraq. Brother Kerrison, Marine, and then Army. Brother Milton Agers, Army. Both gentlemen went downrange and back twice. Bullets explode, bombs explode, and bullets firing off, but still came back home, standing up. Also, the big homie from Altavaz Entertainment Distribution, my big homie on the distribution tip, Mr. Nelson Jacobson, CEO of Altavaz Entertainment, is going to come in today and talk about music, America, the DMV, music in the DMV, the city music deal, the veterans music deal. I'm looking forward. Hopefully we'll get Nelson from Altavaz Entertainment in the building. Again, this is your host, the original 202 Dodge City, son. We're going to talk about a number of topics today, and we may even reflect on the unfortunate trend of police violence and other violence that's happening in some of America's centers, cities, and in our communities, and is really pulling at the heartstrings of America. And hopefully my two distinguished veteran guests that are here, Brother Kerrison and Brother Agers, they may opine a little bit about how they feel as African-American men of character and substance who've had to wear the uniform in service for the country and juxtapose that service, that commitment, with what can be perceived sometimes as an other than respectful treatment of individuals who look like them in their community. How does it feel to put the uniform and to bear arms for a country where other people in non-military uniforms, like police uniforms, don't treat you with the same respect and honor and conscientiousness that you leveraged on behalf of your country when you're in another country? We're going to talk about that today. This, again, is Dodge Citizen. This is the Veterans Report, where we care and are concerned about matters having to do with American popular culture as it meets in a crossroads with the veteran experience and the service members experience. And always, we thank Almighty God for gifted expression and the creative process. We're going to take a quick break, and we will come back. And by the grace of God, I'll introduce these two distinguished guests, and we'll hope that Mr. Nelson Altavaz, I keep messing up Brother Nelson's name, Mr. Nelson Jacobson from Altavaz Entertainment will be able to come in and visit and discuss some of the exciting things that Altavaz Entertainment is doing within the world of music entertainment. Again, Dodge Citizen checking out. We'll be back shortly. Peace and blessings. original 202 Dodge City, son. I got my man Byron Karras and my man Milton Agers. And of course, the big homie on the engineering on the boards, my man Big Greg. Big Greg. And y'all can check him out when are you on the radio, big brother?
6 a.m. Wednesday morning.
6 a.m. Wednesday morning. This brother's deep. Again, let me stop here for a moment and just say we thank Almighty God for gifted expression in the creative process, which in my life has been life-giving. You know, being able to sit here in the company of good brothers and friends, especially combat veterans, is something that has been a, what's that word I'm looking for? It's allowed me to wash my wounds, for lack of a better word, after combat, to be able to sit, talk to a brother like Byron Karras, and to pick up the phone and be able to get a brother like Milton Agers on the phone, someone who is a dear friend, somebody who wore the uniform, somebody who out of the uniform has the same values or similar values, who you can relate to, who is candid and honest, who will tell you the difficult truths. I'm not hearing anything on my mic. I don't know if it did it or not. There we go. So again, the Veterans Report with Dodge Citizen is not just a dynamic radio and internet platform, but is also a place for healing, a place for qualitative and thoughtful deliberation on items that are resonating in the popular culture as it would be right now. I want to take care of some housekeeping items really quickly. If you happen to be listening to this platform live, if you happen to be listening on the internet right now, the studio hotline is active, available. We welcome your input. The telephone number is 240-455-5934. Let me repeat that. The studio hotline, if you'd like to call in and pose a query, if I may, to Brother Byron Karras, to Brother Milton Agers, even to Brother Greg here, or to myself about anything we're talking about or something that might be heavy on your heart. This is the place to do it at 240-455-5934. Additionally, housekeeping. The Veterans Report website is not up, but my Twitter feed is. And you can see some of the things that are trending in Dodge Citizens world, as it were. And my Twitter feed is Citizen Dodge at Twitter. Citizen Dodge. That would be Charlie, India, Tango, India, Zulu, Echo, November, Delta, Oscar, Delta, Golf, Echo, Citizen Dodge at Twitter. And if you go to that Twitter feed, you will find that it is replete with articles and other information germane to the experiences of veterans and service members in the American popular culture, as it were, and in American history. With that, I'll let you know that what you were listening to, the acoustic rendition of music that was played and the drums that was produced by the one and only maestro in the Dodge City Orchestra, and that song is called Call My Name. It's slotted to be on the forthcoming Service Connected album project, which is scheduled to drop on 11 November 2016. For those who may not know, that is the Veterans Day federal holiday. So I thought it meant a lot for me to try to drop it on that day. I was thinking Memorial Day as well. There are a couple other choice dates, but as it turns out, in discussions with my distribution company, with my record label, and with my production team, and with me, because I'm still doing edits on the project, 11 November is our target date. And speaking of music, it's not confirmed, but there's a good chance that Mr. Nelson Jacobson, who is the president and CEO of the distribution company that Dodge City Records, which is my record label, deals with. And he is a brilliant gentleman, a dear friend, a family man, and a DMV native, graduate of DeMatha High School. I think he went to U Maryland. But he's just a brilliant guy when it comes to music, and with a specificity on independent music, independent like the distribution. So he's been a good friend of mine and a supporter and somebody. He's been a stalwart with regard to keeping me on track with releasing the Service Connected album project that is coming out. So with all of that said, I would like, you may have watched this show last week, so you may be familiar with these two sterling gentlemen sitting to my left, but I would like to put them on the spot and ask them both to briefly talk about their lives with a specific focus on your military experience, when you joined, how you matriculated, what kind of experiences you had, and then if you could wrap it up by telling us about your deployments, or when you went, how many times you went. And again, I'm going to say, I said it once, and I'll never be able to say it enough, but I thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours.
Okay, and let me just say one more thing. A lot of times, if somebody sees or found that I was in a uniform, or somebody knew I was in it, and they say, "Oh, thank you for your service," I used to kind of cringe when they said it. Although I appreciated the sentiment, I always said to myself, "Well, I appreciate them saying that, but I actually joined to get money, to get paid. I wanted to make money. I wanted to reap the benefits of. So it's not like I did it like, oh, let me go and risk my life for, So I understand it, but I cringe. However, I feel like when veterans say it to one another, or when veterans say it to a family member of a veteran, it's different. So when I say it, I hope you don't cringe when I say thank you. I'm saying it like as a brother. Same experience, okay? So thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And with that, Brother Carrison and then Brother Agers, tell us a little bit about your veteran experience, your life experience, your DC experience, your DMV experience, if you may.
Okay. Well, I joined the service in '93, June of '93. That's when I went to boot camp in Parris Island, United States Marine Corps. And I did 14 years there.
Active duty Marine Corps.
Active duty.
Let me ask you a quick question. When you said you joined in '93, just as a point of reference, was that right after high school, a couple years after high school, college, and then this? High school, working, and then the Marine?
High school, college, then I joined the service.
Okay.
I did a couple years in college.
Okay.
In Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I have to interject. What, you from Illinois or you from D.C.?
I'm from D.C.
Okay, but you,
Well, I'm from Florida, but I grew up in D.C.
What part of Florida are you from?
Clearwater.
Clearwater, okay. All right.
Okay.
Tallahassee and Gainesville.
All right.
Got family there, too.
And my grandmother is from Waldo.
Okay, nice.
Remember last show I told y'all I worked corrections for a while? It was in Stark.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway.
So basically, my father was in the, I want history. My father was in the Marine Corps. So,
okay.
I wanted to join because, I said, I seen his pictures and stuff like that. And I wanted, I said, what, that's something I might want to do. But initially I went to college to be an accountant.
Okay.
Yeah, I love numbers.
Okay. One more question. Would it be safe to say, I've never met your father, I don't know the relationship that you had with your dad.
Relationship.
But would it be safe to say that you saw personality and character traits as a man
Yes.
that resonated with you and that you associated with his military service?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He did. He still walk around with shrapnel in him as of today. But other than that, I mean, I joined not only to serve my country, but for myself. It's something that I could, I thought I could build upon me and my character and my wisdom. And it was a challenge because I see a lot of civilians. They call you civilian or recruit until you get to a certain phase.
Okay.
You got 3 phases you go through in the Marine Corps and through a boot camp, and basically you are a recruit. You don't earn your name of the Marine Corps until you get to that point. You go to that stage and say, hey, now you get the ego angles on you. Now you be called a Marine. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't bad, but I learned a lot from just being in the service. It was good. It was bad, but you had to learn when to speak and when not to speak because you didn't. you got dealt with. Had to say it like that, but he did.
Yeah.
But other than that, then once I left the Marine Corps, I went to the National Guard, and I did 8 years there, and I enjoyed that every bit of it. I got to work with 145 good soldiers, excellent soldiers. We all got our trials and errors, but we did very well. And once they got to know me, because I was coming from another branch of the service, and so they had to get used to my leadership style.
Could we say intensity? They had to get used to your intensity.
Yeah, I had to come down a little bit.
Okay.
But I always brought it back up. When it needed to be, everything need to be, taken care of. My brother right here, he knows it. I got on rampage sometimes. But other than that, I did 22 and a half years in the service, and I enjoy every bit of it.
Okay.
I don't regret nothing about it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
And you did 2 deployments, right?
Yeah, 2 deployments. I did it in 2004 with the Marine Corps. I went to Iraq in February of 2004, and it was a very learning experience. They gave me 21 Marines. They know nothing about my trade. When I said my trade, I said my MOS. And basically, I had to teach them how to build pallets and upload and download trucks, vehicles. Because it was a 24/7 job every day. We didn't. I sent stuff out to all the FOBs, Fallujah, what's the name of Mosul. I sent to all of them. Can't remember the name really. It's been a while. Then I went back in 2009 with the National Guard, and that was an experience too. I learned a lot. And
because you were in Balad. Let's be clear, you were in Balad, right?
Balad. Oh yeah, Balad.
I tell everybody. I don't know if it changed. I was there 03, 04. When I was there, you can bear witness to this. Balad is a place hard to live, easy to die. I always tell people that hard to live, easy to die. The mortar rounds, the everything,
Came
right?
in.
At nighttime, it's just a rough, very austere, bloody, violent combat environment to be in. So, again, glad you're sitting here next to me.
Well, it took me a while to learn. When we first got to in 2004, we first got to Iraq. They, the C-130, we had to push we had 2 pilots on there. You had to push them off, and the plane never stopped. I was like, what the hell? They told us to get off. It never stopped. I was like, what the heck going on here? It was a sandstorm too.
Sound like military to me.
So we ran there. I said, I don't know where I was running to. But it was, they say a shelter over there. Keep on running. You'll find it. Couldn't see nothing.
Wow.
But next morning we got bombed again. And I was sitting on the catwalk. And I'm like, and I seen everybody running in the bunkers and stuff like that. I said, what's going on? I couldn't hear nothing. But my gunny came out. He said, hey, come here, Kerrison. You see that smoke right there?
Mm-hmm.
He just got hit. You said I hit the whole time. I said, why? I said, I didn't know I didn't hit. So I learned very fast and quickly to pay attention to what's coming in and what not when to come in.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my learning experience.
Last thing you want to do is go home in the belly of an airplane.
Yeah, exactly. And my job was part of sending all the KIAs who passed there, who got killed there, and the MIAs. And I sent all that stuff.
So you process that stuff?
Yes, I did.
Wow. We'll have to talk offline about the.
Okay.
I know some of that stuff.
Still stick with it. I dream about it.
Yeah.
I dream about it. I be. And one guy, he was explosion expert, but he was kind of cocky. I say cocky because I had just seen him a week before, and then a week later I was sending his stuff back home because he instead of sending the little robot out there, he went out there himself, and the trunk was full of explosions. You know, so I'm like,
You heard about this?
No, he was one of my Marines, but not one of my Marines, but he was the it was EOD, yeah, EOD.
So
And,
so they suspected it was a bomb.
Yeah, but he instead of him sending the robot out there, he went out there himself.
That's a little. I hate to say dumb, but that's a lot more.
Wait, did he
common.
have the
He had the stuff on, but
he had the machine, like, what was that movie with that guy was in?
yeah, he had the
I
robot.
know what you're talking about.
The guy that played Jason Bourne one time, the last Jason Bourne guy did. You know his
Yeah,
name.
I know you're talking
I
about.
forget the character actor's name, but he had the whole. They won an Oscar for that.
What, the locker room?
Yeah, the Hurt Locker.
The Hurt Locker,
The
that's
Hurt
what it
Locker.
was.
He had the
Yeah.
Hurt Locker outfit on.
Yeah, he had that on.
Yeah.
And it still got him, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you get too close to it. I mean, a trunk full of explosive.
Blow up another building, you know, to do the suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm just gonna digress real quick. We're gonna come back to this.
Okay.
I know you. Something happened down in Dallas that a lot of people, it just went over their head or went under their feet.
How they blew up the guy.
Yeah, because what did he not get?
He didn't get a fair
Hostage
trial. He didn't
negotiation.
Right.
Due
He didn't
process.
get a chance.
Due process.
Exactly.
That's not legal what they did.
No.
You're supposed to arrest somebody no matter what kind of threat they pose.
Yeah. I mean,
You're not supposed to blow them up. I mean, you're supposed to secure them.
I was talking to him about that earlier.
But you suppose that's the same thing, and I love our president. I love our president. I don't want to get in trouble, but do you know that? And we're gonna come back. We're still doing bios and stuff, but I just have to say this: President Obama, God bless him, his administration has killed Americans overseas who were suspected of talking about terrorism or maybe participating, but even people who were just talking about terrorism with the drone. The drone, like if they're looking for it, we'll use you since you have a beard, you know, and the dreads, you know, so you don't look American enough.
fit the
but,
description.
No, but no, if say if it was me, Andre Jones was a U.S. Army officer. Now he's over in Yemen or Saudi Arabia, and he converted and he's talking. He's made tapes because he doesn't like America anymore, even though he's an American citizen. We think he's been in terrorism, involved in. Now he's done it, but we just think. They have done that, flown a drone over, and killed a United States citizen with a drone bomb. That's no due process at all. That's the same thing that happened to this young veteran in the alleged, you know, he's alleged to have done it, and he probably did. I'm not saying that. But in America, well, the thing that makes America great is every citizen has to have due process of law. Because if that was the case, they just could have went and killed everybody during the Black Panther movement.
Yeah.
I mean, they did kill
Yeah.
Martin and Malcolm. Let me stop. That's
Right,
a whole other
you know.
thing. But they could kill, you know, that's what people
Yeah.
say. But
Well, speaking on that, the King Alfred plan, you know, I heard about that and coming after the vets and everything that had combat experience after the Vietnam War, because during that same time, the Black Panthers, you know, were very militarized, but then do you want to infuse them with the black people that came back from Vietnam that had military training?
Yep.
And so, I mean, our government has shown its colors sometimes.
And just to flip the script, so it's not, so it doesn't seem like Dodge Citizen here is trying to talk only about black people or black Americans. I can flip it. The Ruby Ridge siege. I don't know if you remember that. There was a white supremacist. I think it was Montana.
They held off the FBI. They lined up
and
on
they
that
killed them.
bridge.
And then even recently there was another one. I think this was this year, and the people
Colorado.
were driving somewhere, and the police shot up the car. Now these were white supremacist people. Remember I know what it was. They were didn't want to get off the government land. Remember the cows and stuff. And they were supposed to get off. And I don't know what happened, but at the end of the day, somebody died in that one. And then the other one that everybody knows about is down in Texas. What was that? With Janet Reno was a U.S. attorney, and the place ended up going up in flames. Koresh.
I vaguely.
Koresh. Now that wasn't not due process because I think they said that he was going to go out as a martyr.
Right.
But
Right.
there are people on his side, like Timothy McVeigh later said, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Timothy McVeigh said what pushed him over the edge to blow up the federal building was what he perceived happened in that town in Texas. What's
Wow.
the name of, it was the David Koresh. I can't think of the name of that little town. But it all went up. Everybody burned up. But the people on the side of the David Koresh and the white supremacists or the separatist element, they saw it as an extra muscular action by the United States government, which is kind of what we're talking. But anyway, brother, if you'll tell us a little bit about you, or a lot of bit about you, brother Milton Akers, your experience, what has shaped, what stimuli from family to the military gives us this dynamic veteran that's sitting in front of us today?
First of all, I wouldn't use the word dynamic. I'm kind of all over the place. Sometimes I'm never 100% one way.
Okay.
I can, even the topics that we're discussing right now, I feel 100% one way, or how I agree with due process sometimes, all the times, and sometimes I feel like you just gotta blow their ass up.
Yeah.
So I just kind of.
You're right. I mean, even though I'm a due process guy, I put myself in the shoes of that brother with the glasses on that looks like L.A. Reid, the police guy down in Dallas. He wasn't, if you look at him, he's a sympathetic figure. I'm not trying to kill black people. I'm black. His son died, and he stands behind that action. Like you just said, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But anyway, I feel you on that. But
yeah, so I guess as far as joining the military goes, I think you and I have talked about it a number of times. So I didn't understand the rank structure. I didn't understand the pay. I just knew that my father wore the uniform, and I guess a part of it was I was the youngest sibling out of 4 children. Being the youngest, sometimes you look up to your father more than a lot of times than any other sibling. And I didn't have a whole lot of understanding about the 82nd Airborne. I just knew that you were somebody that jumped out of a moving airplane in enemy territory. And to somehow, even though I didn't know who Superman was or Aquaman, I knew who my father was, Charles Akers Sr. And to me, that sounded like a superhero.
yeah, and he acted like one too.
Yeah,
right?
he was a very disciplined guy. He make you didn't just have to pick up the trash in front of the house. You find yourself picking up the trash from your house all the way up the
Down
block.
the street, yeah.
And sometimes I think, well, I didn't put that there. He'd tell you, I didn't ask you that. I just told you to pick it up. So just being brought up in that atmosphere made me one day want to wear the uniform because my dad wore one.
And then might I interject? You might not say this, but I just feel it. As we were all leaders and managers of other soldiers in the uniform, but the way your dad put himself together and carried himself also made you, after you put the uniform on, want to act a certain way.
Yes.
If I may just respectfully interject that. I don't know if that was coming next, but
Well, somehow I would have mentioned it
Yeah.
because, not to skip around, but that's also what gave me some of the mental issues when I returned from Iraq, because I did things not necessarily ordered by the United States government, but just kind of getting caught up in what everyone was doing. We ran with this guy who was Sergeant Lilly, Staff Sergeant Lilly, and Staff Sergeant Lilly would allow you to do anything as long as you were making sure that you came home from your mission that evening.
okay.
They had some of these the weirdest rules where if someone had an AK-7 pointed down, he was a friendly. But if he had an AK-7 pointed up, he was not a friendly. But Sergeant Little used to say you don't have to wait for him to raise his AK-47 to decide whether or not he was a friendly or the enemy. So you can say that some people, that's what they say, sometimes innocent people in war will die. But because I talked about Charles Ager Sr., that before the United States Army gave me my ethics training, Charles Ager Sr. gave me my ethics training. And when I came home, I felt like I didn't live like Charles Ager Sr. said I was supposed to live. So that gave me more mental issues and having a more difficult time adjusting to civilian life, because when you join the National Guard, jump around again, I wasn't necessarily afraid of going to war. It was a part of me that wanted to know just kind of what kind of soldier I was. I did all this weekend training all the time. Some of my best friends were the Marines, active duty members. So I wanted to know, and I'm not a big guy, so I wanted to know just what kind of soldier I was going to be when the bullets start flying. I've been training, I thought I was this guy, but they always say, well, you don't know till you find yourself into the crap.
And let me interject there. You make another good point. I just have to jump in. As National Guard, man, and even in active duty, you can go for spells where you don't have you're just training, you're coming to drills, you're going to exercises, but you don't get injected into wartime situations. So a lot of people, when that time came, we found out what kind of persons they were. You know, some people were afraid to go to combat, which is okay, because if you don't have some fear going into that type of situation, something's wrong with you anyway. But it's how you manage that fear, how you react to it. And then you had other people, and we all know people like this. Here comes my good friend and business partner, music mogul Nelson Jacobson. We're going to have him on in just a bit. But you had some people that went down range, and when the bullets got to flying, and when they were on that hostile combat objective, they lost their damn mind.
Oh yeah, they did.
They act like they were raised in a chimpanzee cage. You know what I mean? Or by wolves. Okay, and we don't live like that as a country, as a family, as a spiritual community. We have rules. We have the Geneva Convention. We have rules of engagement. You know what I mean? And we all know people or saw people, or at least interacted with people on those combat objectives that acted like they had lost their damn mind.
Yeah, I experienced that. Yeah, I did.
I'm happy to say that these brothers sitting here with me, when faced with adversity, and who had the freedom and the ability to cross the line and do things that would not make their mother or their father or their pastor or their fellow brother, comrade in arms proud. They were anchored in something that they learned from, what's your dad's name? Leslie, or
Charles Ager
at home. You know what I mean? I tell people that on my best day, even though I spent 22 years in the military, the best of us, the things that the military teaches only perfects that which came from these households before we got in the
starts at home.
Or in the Boy Scouts, or on the Pop Warner team, or in the homerooms, Miss Smith's class. When you get to the military, if you're blessed, the military just builds on something that was already there.
Bring it out.
You know, and I pray for those that we know that went down range, and better angels did not win against those worst demons in that fight. That happened to some of us, but not to these brothers. But listen, what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take you out with the Call My Name beat. This is the Veterans Report with your host, Dodge Citizen. My man Milton Agers, I thank you for your service. My man Byron Carrison, I thank you for your service.
Brother Greg.
I thank you
The
all
big
for your
homie,
services.
Big Greg. And Greg, again, I have to say this. Greg was born in Germany,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Not because his father was in the State Department or his mama was an ambassador, but because he was part of a family that was serving in the Army.
Yes, sir.
Overseas. We thank you. The family deploys when the soldier deploys. Thank you for your service, dear brother. We will be back shortly in the building at this moment, at this time. The one, the only, my dear friend. I don't know, he's like a friend mentor, a friend-tor, or a partner, a friend business partner, a fridiator, a friend ideator. Brother Nelson Jacobson is here. He's at the top of the pyramid, if you will, of Altavaz Entertainment. Altavaz Entertainment is doing some dynamic things. Quick story, I know I told you I was gonna leave, but when I came back from combat, your brother, as you know, was wrestling and fighting the demons of PTSD, the memories, the nightmares, the headaches, the tears that kept coming down my face. And I was at the VA, and I'm not going to say her name, but a therapist at the VA, actually I will say her name, Dr. Leah Didion. I'm saying her name because I lift it up, and I thank her. As I was in the worst and darkest moments of my struggle, Dr. Didion said, Lieutenant, actually she didn't say Lieutenant, she just said Mr. You know, they say Mr. there,
Right.
sometimes they do. She said, listen, what I want to try to you is something called cognitive therapy. And what I want you to do is write everything down, every detail, even if it pulls at you, even if it makes you feel the worst way to have to capture and recall it, write it out. That's cognitive. And in that process, I started writing about my experiences, the bonds that I had forged, the brothers and sisters who came home maimed, some who died. And those writings are what began the Service Connected album project, or what I would later realize was the Service Connected album project. And I started writing, and I started doing the music. I was already producing stuff, music, and at some point it came together, and then I was working on this body in about 3 or 4 years. I'll let Nelson correct me when he gets on the air, but I bumped into him, as God would have it, at I think it was an international day or some kind of school thing with my kids. His kids were there, and he overheard me talking about the military and music, and he said, wait, you know, I'm in music. We have a distribution company. We need to talk. And by the grace of God, we talked. And this gentleman has been a stalwart, reinforcing, enlightening force in my life as I've put together Dodge City Records, as I've project managed the Service Connected album project, as I have matriculated through everything a person needs to go through to try to bring a project to fruition, to get it to points of sale, to get it out properly, the legal, the accounting, the social media, everything that you can imagine. I've been able to talk to this brother and step my game up, if you will. So he'll be on the radio soon. We thank Almighty God for gifted expression. This is the Veterans Report with your host, Dodge Citizen. Big Greg on the boards. My man Byron Carrison here. My man Milton Agers. Give us a little bit. We'll be back. Thank you. told God I'ma try again. I rock the shades to hide the pain and conceal my eyes. I'd rather sit alone at home before they see me cry. Access to them things if we need to get them. Enemies violate, we can still get rid of them. Yeah, yo, it's the original 202 Dodge City, son. This is the Veterans Report. Blessed to have a dynamic collective of dynamic human beings in the studio with me. Starting to my right, the one and only Big Greg on the boards. Also, the host of
Good Vibrations Morning Show.
Good Vibrations Morning Show at
Wednesday morning, 6 to 8 a.m.
Okay, this brother is deep. Again, your host, Dodge Citizen. To my left, brother Byron Carrison, former active duty Marine for 14 years. Left the Marines for Greater Horizons in the Army. No, left the Marines and then he was in the Army, not in active duty, but in a National Guard status, correct?
Yeah,
DC
AGR.
National Guard, correct?
Yes.
Okay, AGR too? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, AGR, Active Guard Reserve. Thank you for your service. I can never say it enough. 2-time deployee, correct?
Yes.
Both with the Marines and with the DC National
Yes.
Guard. Thank you for your service in the most austere, hostile, violent, and bloody places. We're glad to have you here. And also a DC resident, correct?
Yes.
To his right, or left rather, my dear friend, brother, stellar human being, who I'm thankful deployed with me. I had the distinct honor and privilege to stand next to him, with him, sometimes in front of him, sometimes behind him, in the Sunni Triangle, in Kuwait, all places in Iraq that a person can go in a wheeled vehicle. I was somewhere, or he was there representing me, I was there representing him, boots on the ground at the same time. Brother Milton Agers, thank you for being here.
And where we didn't want to go in a wheeled vehicle.
Correct, correct. And distinguished guest, dear friend, Washington, D.C. resident, DeMatha graduate, but most importantly to me, in a very selfish and opportunistic way, I bumped into this brother our kids went to the same school, and found out that here I am trying to drop an album about my experiences in combat and being a veteran, and the whole Service Connected album project. And as God would have it, I bump into this gentleman, brother Nelson Jacobson, the CEO of Altavaz Entertainment, is in the building today. And I can never describe with the type of acuity and clarity that he can some of the exciting things he's doing and his organization is doing with regard to music, independent music, Dodge City music, DMV music, the city music deal, the veteran music deal. I could go on, but he paints his portrait much better than I will. So we've heard from our other two brothers. Nelson, I just want to kind of give you an open microphone, and could you please expound upon some of the stuff you're doing, how it's affecting the Service Connected Project, Dodge City Records, how it's affecting DC, how it's affecting the American library system. There's so much stuff I want you to just talk about. Just go.
All right. Well, I honestly, I got to start by saying I'm pretty impressed to be in a room with gentlemen who have put themselves in service for our country. It means a lot in my family. I have a short story to tell you about my weird journey almost to the military and then not into it, including a stint possibly in the DC Guard. Everybody in my family had been in the military growing up. I considered going in the military until the day I walked out of the recruiting station in Hyattsville. I had shown up, and if everybody remembers the show Top Gun, that was out, but I wear glasses. I don't have them, but I wear them. And my recruiter was convinced that I was there to be Top Gun. And my father flew in the Air Force. The rest of my family, either Army or Navy.
Thank you for your service.
For their service.
Yeah, for their service.
And I was having to convince the recruiter, who was a fleet officer who was definitely not happy being in Hyattsville, that I did not want to be Top Gun, and I also didn't need to take the aviator exam. I was there to take my OQT, which I was confident I was going to do well on, but the aviator exam, I was like, I can't even fly a Navy jet. Yeah. And interestingly enough, at that time, that was when Japan was going to take over the world of business, and I honestly, I sat there as someone who had expected my entire life to do service. I'm like, okay, well, I guess the military doesn't need me, but I'm going to go into business, and I will go and fight for American product, for American business.
Okay.
That's kind of what I am. You put me in front of a cause or a thing, and I just buzzsaw or fight at it until one of us is given up. And it ain't me yet. So I am very always interested in the military story, and that's kind of how we got to where we are. Briefly, though, the National Guard, even after that didn't happen, years later, right before Gulf War I was looking at going into the DC Guard, because I had just moved into DC. And I forgot what had happened, but a friend of mine was like, no, you need to start looking more at this music stuff you had talked about. But here we are today, and one of the things that I've kind of learned along this process is that the story that veterans have is also a big part of our culture, and that someone needed to get that story out. I also kind of thought that the mythology and the things that have been put on our military and serving in the military is best probably told by the people in it. There's a lot of Hollywood in the military, and there's a lot of, you know, what people who are outside of the military sing and say about the military. But I've always kind of figured the story that the veterans have is one that needs to be told. So years ago, we had even started something called a Veterans Music Distribution Deal. It's now short as Vet Music Deal. And what we said is, on the distributor side, we know that there's a lot of hurdles, some of which we'll talk about today, I think, about what it takes to get a record out in this day and age. And I said, if distribution, which is generally the hardest part, is the biggest holdup, and I'm the CEO of the distribution company, we can go ahead and eliminate all of that red tape. And so,
Let me just say something real quick. Interject. That, what you just said, resonates with me so much as a veteran. These gentlemen can tell you, red tape is what we deal with at the VA when we're trying to get our medical retirement done. And I may never have shared this with you, but when you explained the great things that you guys were doing and how we could work together, it was the blurb that you said about, hey, I can cut the red tape out, and you can still have your artistic integrity, and you can still meet your commercial objectives, and we can get this done without the other stuff that we know is in there with some of the other historical music stuff. So thank you for that.
Well, I mean, that is our selling point right now, is that we are the youngest of the digital, so we're a digital, physical, and global distributor. We're not just in one aspect of the music business. We're in all aspects of it on the finished side. This is a trade category, believe it or not, and this is something that Andre and I talk about a lot. And if you know me, you'll hear me talking about U.S.-made music. That is a trade category 334612, and it used to be our largest trade category by 2x.
Wow.
You always hear about our intellectual property, and actually since 2006, all of the growth in jobs have been mostly in intellectual property. And intellectual property to me also includes pre-recorded music. That's CDs, cassettes, vinyl, Blu-ray, all of the stuff that is still in every store, that is still sold around the clock by Amazon, is a trade category that we are actually negative in. We import more music into America than we export.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, the UK imports more music right now into America than we import into the UK.
Unbelievable.
And we're getting crushed. That's our culture.
Now, how does that, you see, this is what one of the reasons why I wanted you, could you break that down like in layman terms, like what the hell is that?
Well, just start in terms of music. It is a very complicated process, and I think we have a joke in our company: you are either being sold or you're being sold to. And you need to be sold. That's, you have a product that then someone like me who does nothing but sell stuff all day long goes out and does. Now, anybody that is convincing you that there's a shortcut or that their pathway is the one pathway is crazy, or again, they are selling you something.
Well, they're smoking something powerful.
Well, everybody in the record business is probably smoking something powerful.
Super duper powerful.
Super duper powerful.
Well,
Well,
my fault, man. Something's wrong with you, man. Ignore
well, no,
it.
there is a lot of media and attention. People like me actually don't get out in the media very often and explain to people that we are literally entertaining the U.S. economy to death. And every day of the week, when you hear artists that are saying they're local versus someone that is trying to say that they're a major, well, what is a major? A major is a multinational corporation owned by companies that are out of Japan, out of Germany, out of France, and the other fourth major. So I just described Sony, Japan. Vivendi owns Universal, and BMG is owned by a German company.
See, I told you,
And
brother.
Warner Brothers is now just a multinational company. It actually kind of goes in with what I've always said, we have Halliburtonized the U.S. recording industry.
We know about Halliburton, don't we?
Well, guess what's happened? It has happened to our recording industry. Okay, there are very few things America's actually invented. The recorded music is one. Little history too. DC probably had the first recorded record, and it was back when the talkie boxes were first released in New York City. Someone wrote a letter down to John Philip Sousa. So the Marines possibly had the first recorded song. So he was on Columbia Publishing, which was out of the District of Columbia.
Something like the Renaissance man.
I know where a few of the bodies are buried. That's probably why I'm not allowed on the radio very often. Or any
Don't say it
media.
on the radio yet.
But the thing is, he said to his publishing company, "Do you care if I'm going to go make a record?" And they're like, "We don't know what a record is. Go ahead and make it. It'll probably sell more sheet music." So that's kind of been the dog and pony show that's always been the recording industry. You know, the record is good very short amount of time, where that publishing rights are good for a long years after the artist is even gone. And this is kind of where we started the fragmentation of this. So today, we are not having a CD or a record being stamped made in America and shipped off of our borders, out of our country. That's what some people will call cultural diplomacy. But if we have a negative shipment of that product out, that means we are not doing cultural diplomacy either. Now, I know you guys in the military, how many times have you showed up somewhere where they already knew American music? Right? Isn't that some of your work being done for you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's not happening today. Nobody is shipping American music out. All right. So there's even an act in Congress called the Music Act, and I had to put up the website for it, musicact.org. And that is up to $1 million a year have been allocated to recording artists and labels such as yourself to make, manufacture, and export U.S.-made music.
Yeah.
And it was put in place in 2012, and it expires in 2017. And I guarantee you've never heard anybody talk
I'm gonna
about
say
that.
I've never
Buzzword.
heard of it.
Buzzword for you.
And
I need to talk to you about that because I have a lot of musician friends that have just left. They've left this country to go other places to make
And
music.
you know what? They can actually probably get money from that country to then make product and bring it back into America and sell it.
Wow, yeah, we gotta talk. I got your.
Told you. When I
So-
tell you somebody's coming on, it's gonna be heavy. I do not exaggerate.
So now getting back to your original question, where does it all break down? It breaks down that you have been convinced to not seek a distribution deal. Another thing that we say is, I mean, even there is no product that shows up in any store without using the distribution model. I mean, even you know, some kid selling drugs in the neighborhood knows that it has to have a wider. But what has happened, particularly in urban music, which is our biggest seller too, is those kids have been convinced to do something that's not in their economic best interest. It keeps them in a virtual poverty zone. And what would be working for them is being out recording. What works for America's economy is that we have our entertainment out and being sold. And to give you an example of how this works, you hear a lot in film that the big major pictures are bankrolled by the overseas sales, foreign sales. Well, that goes through something called the Import-Export Bank, and they then look at it and guarantee it. And that is a large part of our intellectual sales that are happening, and they crow about that a lot. We do well. Well, the same companies that are putting in the major motion pictures, they don't use the Import-Export Bank for any of their music.
Why not?
Well, this is the Halliburtonization process. So back in, I believe, 1997, there used to be a checkbox rule on the customs form that said if this is a piece of intellectual property, who is the right holder and who is the government getting their tax. Believe it or not, Bill Clinton's administration eliminated that. And you can go and see the hockey stick in our manufacturing base disappearing in that same period of time because that was our largest export by 2x back then.
Wow.
So we then made it so a great example I use, I'm not going to say her name, she has a lot of fans, but she has sold 100 million records worldwide. All right? And I keep asking people, if that manufacturing plant was in her community, how much better would they be with them 100 million records all being shipped, made
Right,
in America?
Right.
Now, again, going back to our service members, how much better is your job if your adversaries, their country people, have already been infected with our music? They've already heard our stories, which is what that transfer of culture is supposed to be. We know, I mean, if you listen to Andre's music, you know that he, even as a service member, isn't the same person that's being portrayed by a larger media about what our military members are, or even what us Americans believe. So it is this, hodgepodge of ideas, but since there is no coordinated effort in America to sell our own music, our own culture, we may be one of the only advanced cultures that are out there doing this, or not doing it.
Wow.
They're doing that because they don't have to pay too much taxes on that, right?
So they don't pay the taxes or the royalty, but that means the artists aren't also getting paid.
Right,
But
exactly.
none of them are going to complain because they still want to be on that big deal.
So who's pushing this? Is it the lobbyists for which industry? Because
Is there a lobbyist for U.S. made music? No. You're probably looking at me. I'm the only one that goes to the Hill. I have been thrown out of the Recording Academy. I am not invited to events where they know I would go and talk about U.S. made music.
Wow.
So it would be the
multinational companies that are that
want to
control
make
our
sure nothing
entertainment.
changes.
They don't want it, but we've already gotten past that though, because our company. We knew that this demand is out there, and we also know that artists are like Andre. They are going to just make music, even if it's not in a system. Now, what the important thing is to do is now to connect them to the fact that there is a system that does work for independent artists today. It's far from perfect, but we basically say we can get you from the same manufacturing plant on the same UPS truck to the same stores that the majors do. You just need to choose, do you really want that exaggerated deal? I know a lot of people do, and we're never gonna not convince someone to not sign to the biggest company in the world. But the 90% of the other people, because the majors can only sign 10% of it, if that.
Right.
So the other 90% is gonna be independent. And they need to buck up and get distribution. And so, anything that keeps them from getting distribution keeps the older established people in place. Anything that, if they're not fighting, the week that Andre's record's going to come out, we have a lot of things planned for it. And, knock on wood, it's coming out on Veterans Day. I'm going to hold them to it. And, our idea on Veterans Day is like, don't buy a refrigerator. Why don't you buy some entertainment?
Right.
And, we want to flip the script, as a friend, John Hope Bryant of mine, always says, and get this product out. But, look, I am also a salesperson. I am not here messing around. I wouldn't come all the way out to do a show if I didn't think that the product would sell.
Correct.
And that's the thing, is that it will sell, but I'm guessing artists are going to have to do a little more homework. They do have to kind of get rid of this notion that you can do it yourself. You guys in the military know there is nobody out there doing anything by themselves.
Right.
So what's it entails to get the business like the distribution started?
Well, for us, so, we try to kind of come up with what we call distribution as a service, because we know that we are going to get product and artist in almost every station of it. I don't get it finished most of the time. So,
I just have to interject, because he's not going to say it himself. Brother was at the Grammys, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Brother was at the Grammys. Good. Go right
well,
ahead.
we're only there because we want to make sure that then our artists, when their product is in for nominations, they'll be there. So, we're doing a little advance work for you.
Right.
But we're at everything. The Country
And a
Music Association.
And a full-page advertisement in the Grammy book and everything. This guy, he's
And
handling
again,
business.
Well, we want everybody to see that there is a pathway, that there is a growth potential, and that they should be considering making me, especially veterans. Again, like, we sell a story in my business. I package a story. If it comes in a CD or a vinyl record or a digital, that doesn't matter. It's the story. We're going to talk about Andre and everything that Andre went through. That's the story that's then sold to people down the line. That's why someone's going to come and pick up. Yeah, maybe a random person might get it because of what's on the cover, but the other people, I've heard this story, I know that it's out there. So our whole thing is about helping someone understand that you can do more than just digital. And on the digital front, there's more than just one place to put it. There are literally 3,000 places that you can have digital. And that's not including public libraries. That's a big product that we are really happy to represent, something called a library distribution deal. .com, everything we have, if I say digital distribution deal.com, physical distribution deal.com. But the libraries, there's 120,000 public libraries, and they all carry digital and physical music. That is probably one of the largest marketplaces in America. And people are walking in there every day looking for content. And we are also looking every day to how to put product that tells a story about something that is meaningful. That is the good side on the independence. Like, we aren't in your business looking at what you are making. We're not checking your words. We might tell you that it will sell less or it could sell more, but we're not here to... If I'm not paying for it, I'm not going to tell you what to do. If I'm paying for it, then I'm not the distributor. I'm a producer on your record.
Right.
And we have done that too, because there are some products that are so important. The person has started off with the best intentions, and we're like, you know what? You got it far enough. Let us help you, because the marketplace needs this. And we do need more veterans telling stories. They have better stories to tell. And I having to think of our economy again, what are we doing to improve it? If you look at what's happening in our inner cities, what are these kids being given to do? All right? Not a lot, right? And I'm a very tech person. Our Altavaz.com site has been up since 1995, all right? And it actually started on Digex, which was the first ISP in the world. So it was the USAID, CIA, and Altavaz, probably the first private hosted companies on the internet. So we have been doing this for a long time, and watched it when no one cared about digital, then to when everybody only cared about digital, and now back to people talk about vinyl records, they talk about cassettes. In my world, what we try to do is get to you in the front of it. Instead of coming to us, go, I figured everything out all by my own, and I'm only going to release it this way. We actually, that's whether you're in our distributor or one that has enough people that can talk to you, they're going to walk you through it. What we're more interested in is buying the fans, your fans, what they're buying. We even own the trademark buying this. And because before I put it in a big store or even a little store, we want to know who's buying this. And it's a unique conversation that I think only the artist can have. No other product get to catch up, doesn't get to talk to their Twitter fans, you know, and why you're following a catch-up Twitter feed is weird anyways.
Right.
All right? But people do. Let's recognize that they do. But people do follow an artist Twitter feed, and getting that artist to now, and we're working this into projects, the artist is saying, hey, my thing is going to drop in December. Tell me how you're buying this. So what we're now starting to do is go back and go, okay, well, you came to us saying you only wanted to do it digital, but now we're going to show you how you can get a CD done all of the time with and I'm going to talk about that in a second. It's called manufacturing on-demand music. But if you know that your fans have all said, I only want it on vinyl, then if you're going to go and then to a pressing plant and make a bunch of cassettes up or only put it on
CD.
a digital place,
Then it's not going to sell.
it's not going to sell.
Because they told you what they
Right.
wanted.
They've told you what they want. And this is the thing, cassettes, you know, people are they back? Well, you know, in 2008, vinyl was only 0.08% of sales. Today, it's probably 12%.
That's a big jump.
And
Wow.
it could be more. One, all of the vinyl plants are at peak capacity. We're trying to open up more. Two, the majors have flooded the vinyl plants. We call it occupying the vinyl plants.
Right.
They're putting their product in because they're realizing that independent artists are getting a vinyl product out that then ends up at a store, and then that competes with them.
Because all I play in my house is vinyl.
Wow.
Well, and there's
I got
it's a
vinyl
reason.
and digital, but I like my vinyl.
I do too, and it's a great sound.
I was
and
going to
it's
say,
a great,
sound good.
well, it's also a different experience. You know, we all had record parties that we went to.
Right.
I mean, a digital party is a bunch of people like us. Not even, but I mean, at least we could hear each other through the mic system. Everybody else on their own system.
And I have to say this too. There was the physicality of the vinyl. Remember, depending on the budget, of course. Some albums opened up like this. Some of them were trifold.
Yeah.
Some of them you open them out, and then even the little thing in the sticker in the middle had all the little,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's coming back. That's an art, you know, and that's manufacturing. Now think about that. As more of that is done, more jobs are made. There is more art done. There is more currying of art being done. There is more blueprints being done. There is more
Craftsmanship,
American jobs being made. And then we're also addressing this bigger issue of what do we export. So this is a city issue. This is a country issue as well. I've talked with a lot of mayors, and they are told that they need to export more product out of their city. And the way that they're going to do that in our world is what they did in the past, which was your city. We actually have something we call the city music deal. And this is a city by city approach that what we try to do is say, listen, your chamber of commerce, your art societies, your mayor, your council, all need to recognize that the culture and the entertainment that's coming out should be put into an ordered process and distributed it out. And that the chambers need to do more with their local entertainment companies, both in using them for performances, but also informing their members. Like if you're doing a commercial or you're doing a presentation, you're using music, you should be using legal music, but you should also use your own local music. Because look, there's only one Chuck Brown in DC, right? Everybody else then says, because I'm selling you, they're from DC. That people, what do they sound like? Well, they sound like DC, or they sound like Chuck Brown, or they sound like. It's never like, oh, they're just gonna know. No offense, Andre, they're just not gonna know you off the jump.
Right.
So we sell your city. Most people like Memphis music, Austin music, Seattle music. So we look at doing this, you know, on a very granular level. You know, try to find someone who's in that city who recognizes, we probably ought to get everybody out of DC or you know Cleveland or Miami, and instead of fighting over the limited resources in your town, it's just being aware that there are literally unlimited resources for you when you're trying to get out of your town. So now if you're thinking in this bigger picture by by being a band or an artist or a group making music, which is intellectual property, getting it physically made in some form or fashion is that money multiplier effect, all right? And there's also another kind of concept that comes into mind called passive income. Because if you have a back catalog and you are not on Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, all of the channels that I know we put our product in, then you're not monetizing it. And you have also been kind of convinced, you guys know what asymmetric information is, you have more info than your other side does. Well, that's the recording business. So most of the younger people coming in don't understand it today. And most of the people who were in it have left, and those who are in it still survivors are just scratching for the ground they have. So that was why it was unusual for a company like ours to re-emerge back in 2011. We were only doing physical, and we only sold to mom and pop stores, and that was counter to what everybody was doing in 2011. By time 2012, 13 came along, it made a lot of sense. We had vinyl out that nobody else could get. Our company had gotten to about 3,000 stores that we were selling to directly, and then got into FYE, which is a great chain and a great service still in our music business. And the bigger people came and said, hey, do you want to play with us? Which is kind of another point in our industry, is you always are having to go up. Unless you've built a network that you can empower all the way, you need partners.
Correct.
And we knew that. We wanted to scare the bigger players into going, oh, we can't, but it worked, but we had a plan. We knew that if we got to X amount of stores, bigger people are going to say, okay, you're in. Now, we need you to actually help us, because the industry needs to get more people in. We're like every other business, the service needs more bodies in, people at Domino's, they keep recruiting, they need more bodies in. So
McDonald's is always coming up with a new product.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, look, in the arts, though, you artists come up with new product all the time. It's crazy, right? So it's then getting it into a system that can sell and benefit you and your family down the line. That's the other thing that we talk about, is you got to look at, once you've established intellectual property in the form of music, there's a life to it over a long period of time. And it can bode well for you, your family, for your estate in the future, to have all of your catalog in one place, to have it in one place, meaning it's in a place that is selling your product. So then your passive income comes from back stuff, and then new multiplying income comes from new product, you going out and playing. I mean, imagine if every show you did, you told everybody, oh, I only have a download card. And after a while, they're just going to get so frustrated. Like, you don't even have a t-shirt to sell me? Come on.
I want to spend money. What do you do?
I want to spend money. Well, look, people want to spend money. These kids spend money. They just aren't spending it on our records because they're being told, or CDs or cassettes. They're being told to spend it somewhere else. So we have somewhere, because it's my job to tell people to go out and buy music, but the artists need to do it too. And a lot of them, because they weren't in a system, lost that voice. They aren't reminding, like, okay, I'm out. And we see it a lot with an artist that will bring in, we have now gotten you into something like FYE, which to me as your distributor is a terrifying event, because that's a lot of product going in there and a lot of responsibility. And if you, the artist, and the label representing the artist aren't saying almost every day of the week, maybe more than once, go to FYE and buy this, or go to Best Buy and buy this, or go to Target and buy it, or even go to a mom and pop record store who carried it, it's going to get sent back. And well, that was the old world. I kind of want to jump into what we now call manufacturing music on demand. There is now the capabilities to make a red line CD that is just as good as you've gone and got it from one of the replication houses.
Let me facilitate a little bit.
All right.
For the person out there that cannot discern the difference between a quote red line and a normal CD? What is a red line CD?
Well, that's one of the benefits, actually. So what you have seen before in manufacturing on demand is really a terrible product with a flimsy cover and not all the artwork. All right, that's not a red line CD. A red line CD is something now made today that is state of the art. You cannot tell that it is not done at a manufacturing facility. And what that means for you, though, as the recording artist, is that there's no inventory, there's no risk, but we have your product now labeled on Best Buy, Target, Walmart, FYE, Amazon, most importantly. And it is a full version that both a store can order it and have it, or someone who's going to one of those services and gets it. And what that allows you to do is then think about other configurations that maybe you would do. Okay, if I know I can get the CDs done, and there weren't a lot of people saying they may not be telling you they want to get it because it's not cool, but a lot of people still buy CDs. Look, they're everywhere. It's kind of like the Ginsu knife. You know, I learned that thing was on TV as a commercial for years because it sold.
I wanted a pair.
Commercials end really quick on product that don't sell no more.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So, you know, ours is not to ask why they want it. Ours is to ask why they're buying what they're buying, and then get it to them. Because we know we can now do CDs basically with no risk. So your CD is out there. You can
It
now
still has
think
all
about
the mastering and
all of that is
other
done. Your
stuff.
artwork is in there. It's a, you know, and unless you are going to make a specialty CD, which this would allow you to do as well, because you can have more than one configuration of the same project. That's another thing that is helpful working with the distributor, is that we can tie all of this stuff. So it's a vinyl record, it could be a cassette, it could be digital and a CD, all the same project. It all gets sound scanned, it all gets checked, it all gets accredited to you.
Good deal.
And well, it's a good deal for everybody because that's what people want in the economy. That's what artists are hoping. I mean, our record industry didn't go away.
Right.
You know, there is even a resurgence happening. Some of us were even trying to open a vinyl manufacturing plant right here in DC, because there's enough. Maybe there was 30, 40 vinyl plants at one time in America. There's 13 or 14 right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I know some of the plant owners when we were out manufacturing vinyl in 2011 and 12, and they were running at capacity, but no one would give them any loans. They're like, you do not exist. Because people told us as a distributor, why are you operating? There's no distribution anymore. And we're like, but distribution is one of the 4 fundamental aspects of every business.
Right.
You know, it's manufacture, distribution, marketing, promotion. You know, even Wikipedia has got that down. But by young people and older people, especially older catalog, it's really selling a lot. But you know, a lot of the catalog holders are so have been so abused by our system, have lost faith in it. But to the people who are putting product out, they're happy because they're not competing against that. I kind of think the reason why record sales aren't hitting what they used to is it is coming from the same companies, from the same producers, and the ear after a while there's no difference. And that's why then something can, I mean, but that's the joy of the record business. You can put something out, and if people really like it, bam, you know, you can sell a lot of product as long as you're with the distributor on your own, out of your own, you know,
Trunk of your car.
Look, that's how it started, and everybody wants to try to rep that that's cool. You know, look, but that's what we do. We're out of the trunk of our car. We're the distributor. You know, we have it. We go and talk to that store. If you're the artist and you're selling out of the trunk of your car, that means you're not writing, you're not performing, or you're not promoting.
Right.
And you'll never outsell me. That's all I do. I'm not. I promise not to outsing you, but you ain't gonna outsell me. You know, or the people that we have selling your product, because that's all they do.
Distribution, that's money.
But the U.S. music part is something, and veterans, I think, hold a very unique spot in that, both in the stories. I mean, you've had in different areas, different conflicts that are beyond what life had delivered to anybody up until that point in time. The stories, the aggravation that is going to probably come out of there from veterans. The healing that we now are seeing, though, from recorded music and veterans involved in the arts. It's an amazing, to those of us in the business, it's not amazing, but to a lot of people outside, it's short of amazing. I mean, that's the thing. Music is magic. It always has been. Like, we're configuring a few things that get you to buy into it, but why you like it, why you're listening to the same song years later, it's not replicatable. You know, like that's why it's like, I know this record is going to come out and do well. Do we know your second one? We don't know. You know, you have to put a plan together for that one and keep fighting for the one that was. I mean, that's what so often happens to people, is that they didn't have a plan. They got that first record, and like Mike Tyson says, you always have a plan until you get punched in the face.
Right.
That's our business. We see it all the time. Your record drops, and you and your mom bought it, and you're now mad. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's actually what happens to 99% of the people, is you don't sell that many, because you're not out there every day saying, buy it, go to my partner and get it, go to a store and ask them if they're going to carry it. You know, because if it then is carried in one store and someone sees one person buying it, the salespeople will start talking about it. They will say, hey, you know, this Dodge Citizen record came in and people have been asking for it and people have been coming in and buying it. Go buy that.
Right.
And it works. Word of mouth works. Yeah. But having it in a configuration is the, you know, it's no good being in the military without a rifle that don't work.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So that's what people have, is a lot of rifles in the music business with no ammo. And you get the ammo from a central place. You're not out making it yourself. You know, if I can borrow the analogy here, you get it from a distributor. And the distributor can even tell you the types of ammunition that you need and where to put it. And then you all work together. That's the multiplier, is then a band touring with product in the marketplace and at shows, being venue sound scanned. We've seen projects that have, and the difference between being number one in your genre that week and number 10 and still being on Billboard and in all of the charts is magnitudes. You know, look, Rihanna's top record is 17 million, okay? That's number one. Yeah. Number 10 was probably like 4,000. Wow. All right, so when you're in blues, number 10 or even number 5 is 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, you can chart selling 400, 500 records, but you're in all the digital outlets, you're in the physical outlets, and you're venue sound scanning, because you're also touring the week that you put you don't just drop a record and then go back to your job.
Yeah.
Hey, record release party was on Saturday, you know, you sold 30 at there, and then that was it. No, it's, you know, that record could be around forever.
You gotta keep grinding, keep pushing the program.
Well, we actually see that product that is in catalog, in systems. We've seen artists quit, but we've then seen their song blow up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the label is the only one enjoying that now. Because it's in a system, it's out there, people are waiting and wanting more. I mean, people are going and searching. Maybe they go for something called Record Store Day or something, but then they come back. Then they like find out, oh, it really sounds really good, or I kind of remember like all the parts that I did, you know, how it felt. You know, and I don't need 10 hours of music. I just want to listen to one side of this record, and then I'll go mow the yard.
Right.
Listen, guys, I gotta look like my mother used to do, spank myself on the hand, because I made a tactical error for you military guys. I only allotted Nelson an hour, or Nelson only allowed himself an hour. Man, you gotta come back, because you haven't gotten. We gotta talk more about the analytics that you covered it a little bit, but the analytics that you're able to do with an artist to really focus in on.
When you use the same collective intelligence that the government uses, just kind of help them learn some of these aspects to find out. That's where I came up with the idea of buying this. I was like, why don't we use collective intelligence? People are on Twitter, Facebook, posting a lot of stuff. Let's find out how much of it is relevant. Let's a fan heat map to this product.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but it's 1 o'clock and we got to wind down. Bernie, the Renaissance man, just stepped into the building, but I'll get you and put you on spotlight right here, man. You gotta promise me that you will come back, because
obviously right before your record comes out.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
so I'll be here to talk about the release of Andre's record and all the great stuff that we're doing with it.
So housekeeping. What are some? I know you have several, but your Twitter feed is what for Altivaz?
So it's everything is Altivaz Entertainment.
Okay. Altivaz Entertainment at Twitter.
ENTMT.
Okay.
So.
Citizen Dodge, as I've stated before, at Twitter. I want to thank Brother Milton Agers, my dear friend, comrade, veteran in arms. Brother Byron Carrison, Brother Big Greg. We got the Renaissance man. Renaissance actually asked if you brothers can hang out for a while. You know?
Always.
Nice. And I just have to say this again. Gotta get you back in here, Brother Nelson.
I think he means right before it drops.
I hear you. It's always up for negotiation.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take you out with the "Call My Name" beat. Thanking again Altivaz Entertainment for their leadership in the music community, in the veteran music community. But most importantly, this is a great guy, a good friend of mine. I appreciate you, brother. I truly do. I don't tell you that, but in my journey with what I'm trying to do with the Service Connected album project with Dodge City Records, I appreciate your friendship. Almost like you are one of these guys. You just didn't wear the uniform, but you almost did. Thank you, though, man. Thank you. Thank you. Milton, Byron, Renaissance over there, Big Greg, Call My Name is on the track. Call My Name. This will be on the Service Connected album project scheduled to drop.